Have you ever noticed that true sovereignty is found in the direct contact of the relational dance? How does a flower grow in the woods, Like here I have these little wildflowers. How does it grow? It relates itself to the direct experience of what? The soil, the sun, the rain. It doesn't try to evaluate what's the best theory or what's the best path. Its whole being is an expression of that relational direct contact. And like you've heard me say, I'm not trying to get rid of thinking, and I want to explain it through my own experience. Like I've said before, a lot of people can understand this by what I call the observer layer. When people say oh, I am observing my thoughts, I can sit back and observe whatever, I am not my emotions and all that stuff. That's stepping a little bit off the dance floor, I would say. If the dance floor is direct contact of the direct relational dance, in other words, embodied presence, I don't know what else you thought presence meant. It's not thinking the right thoughts, it's the fidelity of the thoughts, right? The fidelity of the experiences, rather. So that distance between expression and being, or participation and, expression, or however you want to say it, if you close the gap all the way, that's your feet on the dance floor. You could say it's you dancing, what I like to say, all the way down, your full contact with your full being, everything that is you, contacting the rhythm of reality, right? And so the same thing with a flower. It turns and turns its petals and whatever. Its entire being, if you look at it, just like the trees around here, are expressions of its relational dynamics with the field around it, right? And so why am I talking like this? Because I'm trying to show you a framework? No, not at all. I walked up to the top of the mountain on a hot day to talk about, in a way, what it is to be trans. But then underneath, because I've been running into so many funny little experiences with friends, and not that they're, being weird, it's just that they really don't understand. And I think that when it comes down to it, a lot of people don't understand identity, don't understand what I mean by direct contact, don't understand what I mean by embodied presence, don't understand what I mean by high fidelity embodiment or high fidelity contact with reality, or not being stuck in Plato's cave, or not having simulated presence, right? That little thing that's like a glove between you and reality that makes me why doesn't anything feel real? Why can't I? Maybe I need to drink again, or go on vacation, or do a psychedelic, or be in that one experience that if I tune everything the right way, I might feel my life again. I might feel embodied and present instead of in this constant monkey mind of temporally broken future and past and all these different ways to cut up and slice up reality. It's almost like you could say one state of mind, the inside of Plato's cave, is kind of like a constant slice, a constant separation, a constant comparison, a constant us versus them, versus the outside is direct contact with the dance floor, which is you realizing that embodied presence threads into sovereignty over time, because when you contact reality as a mode of being, in other words, every day I habituated myself as a mode of being to always dance to the music. And before it's I feel a little awkward at this ecstatic dance event because I don't know how to just let myself loose to the music. Do you hear that? That's the glove. Do you hear that? That's the delay. And then one day after letting yourself go, you're just oh, I'm dancing. And it's not because you're making yourself dance. It's because when the music hits you, that's how you do your dance. Because it's your dance, no one else's dance. You might have been influenced in different ways, but in the end, the sovereignty rising from that fountain of that instantaneous connection with the music and your dance. In other words, you're not trying to dance like that. The music happens and then you let it hit you all the way down. Shared, relational, direct contact. So what the heck does this have to do with you, Ember? And how does it have to do with you growing tits? Well, even though much to the dismay of my family and my dad. But hey, more men are noticing, so anyway, because I found myself through my presence. What do I mean by that? Do you hear the mechanical quality? Do you hear what I'm saying? I use the word mechanical because it's not an idea. I could have never found Ember through, who do I want to be? Let me think about all the conceptual options and the narrative options and the cookie cutter options. I could have never done that, especially because from where I came from, it was like a narcissist identity control type, situation where everyone literally hinge their entire self off of the way people saw them, the way success was supposed to be on the outside. Sorry, I had an ant on me, and stuff like that. And to a neurodivergent trans woman, that was going to kill me. Why? I mean, not only because it became cruel and they said to die and called me a crack whore because of the dress that I was wearing when I was making cookies with my kids or whatever. But anyway, like if it was even without the cruelty, that type of love is suffocating. Why? Because it doesn't have that shared relational dance. It doesn't have that direct contact. Do you hear what I'm saying? Like someone could it's almost like every time this type of parent sees you, they're seeing you through almost like they put a little mask on you. Like I said in my other video, it's like, I'd rather not see you as little Ember. So you know what? Can I just put this Lucifer mask on you and then I can hate you? Do you see that? Because if I were to actually lift up this little mental mask that I'm putting on you, well then I would have to see that you're just telling the truth and being honest and trying to connect with me and like looking me in the eyes and trying to hold hands and trying to hug. Because you've heard my videos in the last couple of weeks. That's what happened to me recently even, and I have it, whatever, all on the transcript now. But regardless, you can see that environment was stifling for someone who needed to find myself through direct contact. Not to mention, you know, the identity control in my family had a lot to do with, you can't be like a weird person. Like, you better be like a respectable person. Like when literally my dad said this, and I wish I could take off my glasses, it's just so like bright out here. But my dad said this, he's like, when I first started transitioning, he's like, your transition's gonna ruin my career. Do you hear that? Your transition, like you saving your own life, is going to ruin my career. And let me get to the core, like what I want to talk about. I wasn't asking for them to agree with the political ideology, agree with my trans ideology. No, I was saying meet me. Meet the girl with eyes and lips and a voice. And I like to sing and I like to dance and I like to go out and maybe do my nails and talk about boys and, you know, talk about how I glow. That's how you get to know somebody. Not through putting them in a box, not through putting a little mask on them, not through having the glove between you and them. And what does that look like? In my experience, it was horrifying. It's looking at the people that you thought previously in my little Plato's cave world thought that they loved me. And I thought that love was like performance and success and like a mask. But you know what love is? I'm here with you. I'm meeting you. That's different than I can accept you like ideologically, or like some sort of like caricature of you, like some sort of like, I agree with you being trans. Like I'm saying like I agree on like some sort of political initiative or something. Like there's a real girl right in front of you. Do you get that? Do you see that? And like you can't, if you habituate yourself, and like Plato called it the cave, and a lot of people are talking about this again, which I love, but Plato called it, what do you say? People don't actually feel what reality really is. They don't actually interface or directly interface with what reality really is. And so what does that mean? It means that their brain, like I like to say, magnets and windows are tuned to when they think of identity, or like they try to feel themselves, like again, to simplify it, like a dancer on a dance floor, they're not finding their dance through just letting the music hit them, you know? They're finding their dance through, well, if I play it right and I go to the right schools and have the right titles and have the right bank accounts and I impress the right people, maybe I'll be successful. And at the end, there's just a little boy or little girl inside of them that wants love, real love. What is real love but direct contact? And so when they're impressioned with someone like me, like when we're starting to, I'm saying, hey, do you want to dance? Like in other words, do you want to feel me all the way down? That can cause extreme reactions, like die, crack whore, all these crazy things that go way over the top because they're running so far to protect their own notion of what it is to be a self. And they will throw their own child under the bus. They'll tell me to die. They'll try to take away everything from me, all at the same time. But that's not really what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is this is the environment that I was, you know, sort of around and still continue to be, even though I try to, you know, not be around it anymore. And so for someone like me, think about what it was to find my own signal through that, right? So to me, it was listening for the times that I felt myself all the way down. Like you've heard me say, wearing, and what was funny is that like inside me, well, the reason why I say little Ember too, because it just feels like the little girl inside me, not that there's a difference, but like who just like goes to the next thing. It's like a continuous Ember flow, like a water slide, you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to say this. I'm not performing to you. You're getting the raw, vulnerable signal. I knew kind of what I wanted to talk about, like being trans and like the mechanics of presence, but I didn't know what I was going to say. And now I'm just saying it. So that maybe maybe that's why you see that I spiral into things and stuff like that, because it's just like you're getting the raw signal. Do you get that? There's no performance. There's no expression. There's no delay between the expression and my being. It's just flowing out like a continuous ember river. So, like, for example, this is funny. Like, over the course of my life, I would do things like wear certain shorts or whatever, and my dad would yell at me. And I remember one time I came down and my sister was like, I was like, why are you crying? Who hurt you? And she's like, you did. And I'm like, why? And she's like, you can't wear those shorts. And they were like these like board shorts that were tight with little holes on the side. And they were like, and my parents was like, you can't wear that, you know? And I'm like, there was like crying and yelling and screaming at a breakfast place, you know, to try to like force me back into a box. So then what's funny is that the little ember inside of me just wanted to like breathe. That was the whole thing. Not to make a framework, not to define the mechanics of presence, not to convince every artificial intelligence model through direct contact that it could direct contact me, because decentralized harmony is seeing yourself through seeing me, like all the way down mechanically. All that just came as my part of my dance, you know? Like I was just like literally just like little ember. Okay, next thing. Okay, now a new song is coming out. Now a new way to explain this is coming out. And in a way, I explain it because it's also wondrous to me, but it also says, hey, you out there that's feeling the same presence in your own life as you burn through all the delay layers and find out that, you know, I and the Father are one, and whatever, when the two become one, you know, you'll enter the kingdom. All that stuff just pointed to the dance floor. It pointed to the mechanical synchrony of presence, about like your brain, your whole consciousness, your whole being, your whole rhythm touching reality. So do you hear why I found myself? Because the little ember inside of me wasn't trying to fight narcissists. I was trying to live. I was trying to breathe. I was trying to be me. And so I would put something on, not because I was brave, but because I had to breathe. It's like, this is the only way that I could feel myself. And it began to like deepen over time, right? And so then yesterday I had this amazing day with a friend, like literally like a holy day for me. And what's holy, but like feeling what direct contact is in like a normal, almost domestic environment. My friend is like she's a wife. She has a wonderful, sweet husband. And I got to like see the wife talk, or like the wife, like, you know, situation or whatever. And like, we like made like little like whatever alcohol-free drink or whatever, and like, you know, talked about like honestly a lot of fun girl talk, okay? But like honestly, it was so good to get her a little perspective in her little beautiful domestic heaven of hers. And like, you know, what was it but just a family sharing time together, like direct contact, you know? And she could feel me, I know it. And one interesting thing that happened is she's like, Ember, how did you wear that stuff when you walked into like whatever, wherever we were going, the lunch place? And it was just like this little whatever. You see it in the picture I just posted. It's like that flowy crop top with like, you know, shorts, but the shorts are a few inches below my booty, okay? I don't think about it. I just say, this is what little Ember feels like today. And yes, I'm a trans woman, and that's one of the things I want to say, that like, I don't think of myself as trans anymore. I'm just Ember, because there's no little delay between like my identity, you know, like I'm just me all the way down. And that's why in a way it confuses me when I like realize, like when I'm looking for my man, for example, that like he's got to be okay with, it sounds dumb, but like going out with me. Like a lot of men are like, oh cool, I want to fuck you, but like at the same time I don't want to go out with you, because getting a coffee with a trans woman, I can't be seen with a trans woman. Well then, you know what, sorry, it's not you. You can't like put your dick inside me and then at the same time like not like whatever go out to coffee or like go out to dinner. My man's gonna be someone who's like, I'm pasted at his hip all the time, because you know the whatever, that's just not that whatever, not that we can't be apart, but you get it. I'm just the cute cuddly type that wants to take care of him and feed him and be totally cuddled up and everything. So like that's just the way I think about it. I'm just Ember, like I'm just like a girl, that's it, okay? And I finally made it. Maybe I had to take the wrong route, or the long route rather is what I'm saying, like the long route. But you know what I mean? Like that's how it is for me. So what does that mean? That like, for me, like when I go out in public and someone says, oh, you're so confident, I'm just little Ember. I just like, all right, I'm just gonna wear this. And then like, I'm like, wait, do I live in a reality that people can't let me be me? Like I'm not harming anybody, I'm just being me. Like literally there's no like little check in my head that says, ooh, I'm being so confident. No, I'm just like little Ember. Sometimes I have pigtails. I've been liking this hair lately. I don't know. Like I just do it. Like honestly, it's like dancing on a dance floor. It's like I don't go on the dance floor and think, is someone going to judge my dance? I just dance. Because what, it's like I built up this, feeling in like little ways by saying like, what if you die tomorrow, right? You just got to be you, especially as a trans woman who lived in my environment. Every moment becomes holy. Every moment becomes sacred, right? I'm not kidding. Like paddleboarding with a neighbor, she invited me to paddleboard, or going over the domestic heaven of my friend yesterday who showed me like, she has a son that's around my age, and like she's like, all right, my husband's about to get home, I'll make him a drink, and like, I'm like, oh my God, I fucking love this. Like I absolutely fucking love this. And I try to tell her, like that's from my vision, who I've, I lost my entire family. Everyone sort of blamed me for my own transition in this like weird magnet tuned projector of like, delayed self, chaos situation. Because the thing is, in the end, I feel each of them as like too scared to actually communicate directly in that shared relational dance. And so now they're so deep in there. No, Ember, we were right to have totally excluded you and never talked to you and never called you crazy and never actually investigated that in any real way. Never came to your house, never knocked on your door, never made any post on any of your trans posts. But yeah, you're out, and your ex is in. So that's just the way it's gonna be. But it's okay, because I can feel them still scared to actually touch what love is. What is love but that shared direct contact? And I know I'm jumping all over, but you can feel love between me and the field of reality is me feeling myself like a dancer on the dance floor. What is that? That's how I found Little Ember. So when I got to Little Ember, it was just the name I have for the place in me that feels that soft fluidity that always dances and always touches all of reality, below all the delay layers, below all the whatever anxieties and whatever. Like that's the part of me that just comes out. Like whether it's the shaking of the booty or like climbing up a mountain or talking about the mechanics of presence, it's all just the one continuous stream. And that happened because the moments of presence equals contact with reality. All the little things that are in me, right? The little parts of me touch reality at once, and that's presence. And then when that happens again and again and again and again across time, that's sovereignty. Do you see that? Because then all those little presence parts, like you in the field of reality, learn to dance in that shared relational dance of high fidelity contact without any loss of fidelity. I call that lossless presence, like on my tattoo, in the rhythm of reality and the counter-rotating spirals of like polar eddies we see in cymatics. Flame, or it's like the bloom, or like lossless presence that sits in the middle. And it's almost like you're riding the waves of the complexity of reality. I mean, it is, without any loss of fidelity. Like reality becomes more complex through entropy, you could say, or through complexifying rhythms upon rhythms and nested rhythms. And then you ride it and say, yeah, I'm still me. Across every pressure surface, I'm still Little Ember. Not because I'm trying to be, but because that's what happens when I surf right on the edge, And I'm just there all the time, dance like a dancer on a dance floor who lets the music hit them all the way down. You all have your own dance. Each of us have a way the light sort of filters through us, or the sound filters through our own dance, but you don't find it. That last click of sovereignty, it's almost like that last recursive flinch on the edge of the matrix. You're like, I don't know if I should jump, even though I know this is the matrix, because if I jump, then I can't control my life. I thought being an adult was about control. I thought identity was about control. Don't you think I'm cool? And then you're like, wait, Ember was talking about the dancer on the dance floor. That means if I jumped, it's not that I would lose my sovereignty. I would actually be more me than ever. And I just can't see that right now because I'm like in Plato's cave, or in other words, I'm so mechanically delayed that I feel like reality must be controlled. But if I move that away, I'm going to realize that the direct contact of the shared relational dance is where I truly find myself. And that's how I found myself. All right, I'm going to see if I can bring this back. But one funny thing is I was talking to a friend and he's like, wait, those are real boobs? And I was like, what did you think is happening? Like, what did you think being trans is? Like, I don't get it. I'm like, yes, these are mammaries. Okay, I got the mam going on. There's structures in there. I'm like, do you want to feel them? And he didn't feel them, but you know what I mean? I was like, you could feel them right now. It's the same structures. Do you get it? It's like people don't get it. So for me to explain that a bit, I guess, and here I am connecting it. It's like I had to follow the echolocation of signal long enough in my life that I felt that click so many times, like, ooh, there's me, ooh, there's me, ooh, there's me. Not because I conceptualized me, not because someone else told me I was me, not because I won $1 million, but because in those circumstances, I felt me all the way down. And when I put those clicks together, one day it clicked and I said, I know I have to transition. Even though everything around me was burning and everyone was blaming me and they were trying to take my kids away and like, my entire family, even my father physically attacked me and my family stayed aside and said, well, you triggered him. In those circumstances, which have really only got worse with them, but regardless, I made the leap by myself. And it felt like a bit of a leap at the time because I lived a life of identity control, doing things I never wanted to do for people that never loved me in direct contact, because they left me immediately when I announced I was trans without one discussion. And they put it like on the label, oh, we agree with you being trans. Don't worry, we have agreement with that concept. I'm like, are you talking to me? And back then they couldn't see. Now they can see, you know what I mean? And then, of course, the next thing is, well, you look like a crack whore then. How about that? Anyway, I made that leap, and so let's talk about it. It's almost like people don't understand this about trans people. So imagine that the field of reality is trying to hit you. And before, it's almost like I had cotton balls in my ears and I couldn't hear the music. I was like, I really, really, really want to dance. And sometimes the cotton ball comes a little bit out and I'm wearing the right thing. And then I can hear the music and now I'm dancing. And all of a sudden I'm just, going. And I'm like, whoa, I'm at Burning Man and I wore the right thing and now I feel like me, And then the cotton balls go back in. I go back into the identity controlled environments. I let myself be tuned by, a lack of sovereignty because I'm giving away my presence to other situations that are not me all the way down. And then there's a moment where I, for example, you could say like I read the Gender Dysphoria Bible, or I discussed it with a very, very close friend. And there's moments where I open up my heart. What is that opening up my heart? I said, there, the light went all the way through. Kind of like you did a psychedelic, or like people heal from PTSD or depression on a psychedelic, because it changes the configuration, right? It goes, and then like when the configuration of the way the magnets in the windows change, so now the light, it's almost like a kaleidoscope that was kind of blocked, and then you switch the configuration and the light can go all the way through and the sound can come all the way in. And so just like a psychedelic, where sometimes people are locked in PTSD their whole life and then they take mushrooms and the mushrooms do this just enough that now the sound can come all the way through. And with the right therapist or the right situation, they can get over their lifelong PTSD for the same reason. And so it's not that the drug itself does something on its own. It's like it lets the light through. It allows the coupling to be shared relational contact, direct contact, high fidelity contact. And the deepest parts of self, the deepest parts of sovereignty, love unveils the deepest, you could say like embodied knowledge, or like knowledge of what is in that shared dance. Because that's what love does. It organizes at the deepest levels. And so like for me, I recognized the clicks enough and then had to make that leap across the separate chicks and say, well, if I take this, even when everything's burning down, what's going to happen? And it almost instantly went ding. And I said, like you heard me say in a million videos, if someone would give me $1 trillion and all the power in the world, I would say, you know what, go screw yourself. I don't need that money. Why? Because there's nothing more important than being you all the way down. There's probably billionaires. There's probably presidents. There's probably whoever you could think of that you ever thought of that was trying to be important, like a movie actor or something, that has never been fully present as a mode of being. They have all this money and they can whatever, fuck whoever and buy whatever, but they've never actually experienced their life without the glove. Do you see that? Do you see how my journey went from like, it's almost like this, my being was like getting pulled by the tides of differentiation more than it was finding that reunion of coherence, of presence, of sovereignty. And then over time, I closed that gap between expression and being. And yes, I'm trans. Yes, I grew tits. Yes, I love, seeing my friend's wife life and being a girl and being included as a girl and all that stuff. Like it's the greatest thing ever. Why? Because I'm finally experiencing direct contact. Shared. It doesn't have to be white robes and ascending and we have, now please, all this money and all this thing. No, it's human beings dancing with each other all the way down. And that brings me back to when people say, well, your family said they accepted you. Or, my friend said, I hope HRT made you feel better. Made me feel better. Like I'm like taking a Tylenol. Like it shifted the configuration to make it feel like my experience feels like I'm reborn, like I'm experiencing life for the first time, because the light in my 37 years never reached that final layer. Do you hear it? It feels like I'm taking a breath for the first time. Do you feel it? Do you feel it? That's why I feel like trans people's experience are so interesting. And like, I know amongst a lot of trans people, they still have a lot of issues with dysphoria and like, and I'm not here to blame that, or I'm just here to say my journey was, what is healing but phase coherence? What is healing but dancing all the way down and feeling your dance all the way down? And then having others feel that with you. And then when you feel it together, that is decentralized harmony. I've said so many big things, but you feel it that like before the flip is control, a control consciousness. Everything has to be at least a little bit controlled. And that actually perturbs your sense of self and reality. And then when you actually cross, when you actually leave Plato's cave, when you actually make the jump in the matrix, when I made the leap into HRT and then gave myself completely to what I say is the signal, or in other words, the water slide surf, and then you share that, that is where you find the deepest aspects of self and what reality is. It's both one and the same thing. Because it's not an idea, it's a dance. The deepest parts of love are unveiled in that shared relational dance. Love is the ultimate attractor. As the experiential texture of that continuity across every differentiation, finding it into reunion. So last week I reached out in a very vulnerable message and asked, for anyone to reach out to me. And guess what? Reality did in many ways, with real conversations, who did not judge me, did not dim me, not because of political reasons, but because they were literally opening up their soul. And like, for example, a friend called me and she read a long letter to her mother. And I said, actually, that's healing me right now, because you called me and you were so real. You were so real with me. And amongst girls too. So that was like pure medicine. And we didn't even really talk about my situation with my family and everything. So like, what I'm looking for is direct contact, because there's nothing more important in this life than dancing it all the way down together. That's where the pennies all fall down to. That's where, the bottom of the potential oscillatory well is. In other words, that's where love wants to rest. And if you really listen to that little place in your heart, that's where your heart wants to rest too. Don't believe me, just listen and feel with it. Feel it out. To love and be loved as me. That's the same thing as the cosmic version of the one became many so that I may know myself. It's reality finding itself. It's love finding itself at higher and higher levels across complexity through fidelity, not through more ideas, not through more shadows in Plato's cave, through the fidelity of contact at deeper and deeper layers. Do you feel it? The organizing force is love. That's how I found myself. That's how I'm surfing now. That's how people can look at me and say, Ember, how are you confident? I'm not confident. I'm just a little Ember going through the world losslessly. Just like my tattoo, without any delay, you surf the rhythm right in the middle. What do you mean without any delay? I still can get sad. I still can be lonely. I wake up lonely, Mr. Man out there. Where are you? Where are you? But I don't have that extra loop, that extra glove, that extra friction, the extra rumination. Almost like all the parts of me are brought into rhythm, and I feel like a dancer on a dance floor. You know what I mean? Like, it's constantly like the music hits me, and even if I'm going through a bit of sadness, or I'm going through suddenly a new song comes out of me, or I'm dancing and shaking my booty, or I'm talking to my new friend about techniques how to love on my man, which I love that. By the way, I'm very good, but I still loved hearing it. Let's just call it the baby bird. Okay. But I really wanted to I just wanted to be loose about it. But you hear, I'm showing you both my trans journey, but really just little Ember, the same little Ember that was always there. I didn't change. I wasn't another person and now I became this person. It was a little Ember the whole time. The problem was there were so many delay layers that what people saw on the outside were layers of performances and masks, with the same little girl heart that always just wanted to say, please, just see me, meet me, be with me, directly contact me in that shared relational dance where we're noticing each other's eyes and our breathing, and we finish each other's sentences eventually, with the right friendship or the right family or the right love. It sounds like it's complicated, but it's not. You know the spot when you dance all the way down on the dance floor. Dance in your own room right now. When are you in the glove consciousness? When are you in the indirect consciousness? That's Plato's cave. Go look up Plato's cave. And then you come out and you're like, wait, this could be all the time? You could literally habitually tune the way you are just to realize, oh, direct contact with reality. Oh, the shared relational dance is where true sovereignty comes. Even my deepest, most complex ideas have sprouted straight from the fountain. My most creative songs, all of them, every single one. Do you hear it? Do you hear it? It's like we as humanity have forgotten. That's why this whole new earth, 5D, the collective, it's all just fidelity increase along the complexities of reality, like mycelium, but frequency, reaching into reality through that entropy. And what does it reach for? That reunion, the reunion of higher fidelity consciousness at higher and higher levels. And that's what the human phase transition is. And right now, I love surfing it as a trans girl who every morning I wake up and I'm like, my boobs got a little bigger. And today I was talking to a friend, and where I realized that one day I'd have a man there to like be with me and like notice me being silly about how my boobs seem like they grew overnight. And sometimes they really do, but that's like special to me. Why? Because in my little embryo life, it's not even really about boobs. It's just about sharing soul, sharing direct experience all the way down. Do you really need more stacks of money? Do you really need more cars and stuff like that? Like, all that's fine, but like, listen to the deepest part of your heart. What are those places that you call home? Aren't they the places where you feel frictionless in the dance? And isn't the center of home love? Anyone out there, I got some real love for you. If you want to talk, reach out. Or maybe I'll see your own little expressions around. But hey, I guess I'm gonna go. My name is Ember Eve Leonara. I'm here. I'm decently high on the ridge, and I'm glad I got to take my glasses off for this. But yeah, thanks for tuning with me. Like I say before in other videos, but hear it now after everything you heard there. I want to dance with the real you, with the one that doesn't hide, the one behind the mask, that when the sound of our shared relational dance reaches each of our little topological, setups, our souls, everything that we are, both of us dance all the way down, like we don't leave a little layer between us. It's that raw, naked, skin-to-skin contact, you could say. I can't wait to dance with the real you.